Hello dear friends, Father Martin here. Today is Ash Wednesday, which marks the beginning of Lent. And in this short reflection, I'd like to recall the story of Israel wandering in the desert for 40 years. And in this wandering, in the midst of the wandering, God shows himself, reveals himself as their God. And it's so beautiful because Israel did not have a home, they did not have any land, no secure foundation in the world. They were surrounded by wilderness, desert, an empty landscape. And yet, this was a time in which Israel recognized their first love, and God recognizes them as his people. He says to them, "You are my people, and I will be your God." So even in the midst of this wandering, of being lost, God is their firm foundation. God still feeds them with manna, cares for them, and helps them fight their enemies. At the same time, we are kind of experiencing a desert, kind of this emptiness about the future. We don't know when this pandemic will end. We're quite uncertain what the future will bring. Will the future be okay? Is there hope? Or will this cloud of darkness linger forever? But like Israel, we know that we're not journeying through this desert alone. That God, by his providence, is near us and cares for us, feeding us every day with his word. So my dear friends, during this Lent, let us renew our intimacy with God. Let us remember him as our first love. Let us make space for that union with him. And this is why we deepen our prayer, our fasting, and our almsgiving, because these practices help this union to grow. It helps us become aware of who we are as people, beloved sons and daughters of God, even in the midst of the desert. Through our prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, we allow God to take care of us. We stake our lives on him alone. And even in the midst of the desert, through this gift of faith, we know that life goes on, that life is still beautiful, and that life is still worth living because God has not abandoned us. God bless you all. Take care.